As poet Maya Angelou once famously said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. The Democrat Party has shown us over and over again who they are. They are godless, hateful, and simply un-American. And like many of you, I'm done with them. I am no longer tolerating Democrats. I really am not. I used to be friends with them and say, okay, we can agree to disagree. No more. Like anything toxic, I am cutting them out of my life once and for all. Because even the warm embrace of a child with terminal cancer could not penetrate the Democrats' dark, cold hearts as they sat there, stone-faced, as President Trump honored DJ Daniels, 13-year-old little boy, during his speech to Congress. They refused to cheer for DJ, for him becoming a cop. But I guarantee you, Democrats would have cheered if DJ had announced he was becoming a little girl. The Democrat underboss, Nancy Pelosi, could barely contain her disdain at how beautifully Trump spoke. You could almost hear her thoughts, her hoping that somehow, some way, her cane that she's like, would turn into a broomstick and she could whisk herself far, far away. The Democrats' attempt at protest, pathetic bingo paddles and coordinated pink outfits to support women, a group they can't even define, right? They can't even say what a woman is, yet here they are wearing pink to support them. And their chief jester, Texas Congressman Al Green, making a fool out of himself, looking like he just got dragged out of a cave, yelling incoherently while waving his cane like the drum major of a hate parade. This, folks, this is the Democrat Party, and it's dead. There is no coming back from how they all behaved that night. You know it, I know it, and even the Democrats with half a brain know it. But the ones with no brain, well, they're still as delusional as ever.
It's really because Republicans they're very thin-skinned and they're very sensitive and their feelings are very easily hurt, and so they have to vote on censure resolutions.
Republicans are sensitive? Are you kidding me? Democrats are the ones who call it hate speech if you call them by the wrong pronoun. Green's theatrics, clearly a tryout for his next gig at MSNBC, a network so despicable that this was their host, Nicole Wallace's response when DJ was honored with that Secret Service badge.
I hope he has a long life as a law enforcement officer, but I hope he never has to defend the United States Capitol against Donald Trump's supporters. And if he does, I hope he isn't one of the 6 who loses his life to suicide. And I hope he isn't one who has to testify against the people who carried out acts of seditious conspiracy and then live to see Donald Trump pardon those people.
Unbelievable. How do you go from cancer survivor to suicide to January 6th? They're obsessed. I mean, President Trump has now called for Wallace to resign, as well as her fellow overpaid colleague, Rachel Maddow, who also said this about this beautiful child who was initially given only 5 months to live.
For the record, and this is disgusting, the president made a spectacle out of praising a young man who's thus far survived pediatric cancer, as if the president had something to do with that. This was in the midst of him praising DOJ. The DOJ cuts, among other things, have cut off funding for ongoing research into pediatric cancer.
Wow. Imagine having that much hatred in your heart for something so beautiful. Trump never said he cured this boy's cancer, a disease DJ fights to this day. DJ was being honored, as many children with cancer are, for being brave and remaining positive. I lost my own brother to cancer. Make-A-Wish Foundation. This is what you do. This is what you do as a human being, right? But leave it to Democrats to take something so beautiful and make it so ugly and lie like a cheap wig on a certain California congresswoman's head. Trump has not cut pediatric cancer funding. That's a lie. Dr. Bhattacharya said this when asked about it during his confirmation hearing to head up the National Institute of Health.
If I'm confirmed as NIH director, I fully commit to making sure that all the scientists at the NIH and the scientists that the NIH supports have the resources they need to meet the mission of the NIH, which is to make America, do research to make America healthy.
So do you support further cuts at NIH funding or staff?
Senator, I don't support. I don't have any intention to cut anyone at the NIH.
Democrats also couldn't muster up an ounce of compassion for the grieving mothers who lost their children to violent illegal aliens. The only time we saw the Democrats, them smile and cheer when President Trump said this.
Do you want to keep it going for another 5 years? Yeah, you would say Pocahontas says yes.
So smug. Look at her there, clapping, clapping. Liberal women, they're not only miserable, they've got major issues. One recent study found that 56% of liberal women aged 18 to 29 have been diagnosed with a mental health condition. Are you surprised by that fact? Liberal women, they've been instrumental in destroying this nation, and in the process, they're destroying themselves as well.
Transgender female athletes in women's sports, only 18% of the country says that they should be, in fact, allowed to participate in women's sports. Compare this to the opposition. I mean, my goodness gracious, 79%. You rarely get 79% of the country to agree on anything, but they do, in fact, agree on the idea of opposing transgender female athletes in women's sports.
Did you hear that? 80% of Americans are against men playing in women's sports, yet 0% of Democrats will stop this madness. Every single one of them saying, oh, yeah, let's get the trans women in there. All Democrats want to do is they want to stoke division with their lives. Texas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, her antics now making her the latest fake news primetime star.
If you really want to know who the criminals are in this country, you can Google it. You don't have to trust me. But the people that commit 80% of the most violent crimes in this country are white supremacists. Yet, for whatever reason, they sit and they serve at the pleasure of the president.
Wow. You know what's really disheartening? This is supposed to be a news network, and no one even fact-checked her when she sits there and she tells her blatant lies. Here's even the more scary part. She'll probably get reelected again, because oftentimes there is zero accountability for any of these Democrats, many of whom have somehow become multimillionaires on a government salary, like California Congresswoman Maxine Waters, whose hatred for Trump has turned up a notch even for her. Listen to this.
Honorable, deplorable human being. He's full of lies and deceit, and he's aligned with Putin in Russia. As a matter of fact, he should be tried for treason.
You would think with all her money, she could afford a better wig. Why is Waters so livid over Trump's effort to root out fraud and waste? You know, when the speech was over, my mom, whose English still isn't the greatest, asked me if perhaps maybe she misunderstood something or maybe she missed something, because she couldn't believe that half the room behaved the way it did, just sat there stone-faced. I mean, women were being honored for their children were murdered by illegal aliens. Widows who lost their husbands during a tragic assassination attempt. I told my mother, like I'm going to tell all of you, despite the Democrats' best effort, listen, God was in that room. This is what I think. God wanted the American people. He needed millions of Americans to see all of that, to see that evil in action, so as to never support it again.